We're very, very excited this evening to welcome you to another Innovation Boot Camp. And we just want to continue sharing and encouraging each other during this time to be able to understand how we can bring our visions to life, how we can bring those ideas to life as entrepreneurs of the future. There's always a debate that are entrepreneurs born or are entrepreneurs made? And at E4Impact Foundation, we believe in both, and we especially believe in making entrepreneurs with impact. We believe that we are here not to teach entrepreneurship, but to train impact entrepreneurs, and that's our tagline. So I want to welcome you to another exciting session where today we are talking about entrepreneurial branding in the post-COVID era. So post-COVID, although we are still experiencing waves at different points across the world, and I still feel that we are post in the sense that we have accepted COVID as part of our norm. We have accepted the new norm, and we are ready to push on with our goals and here to help each other to push those goals. So today I'm excited. I don't know if our speakers have joined us, if they could switch on their cameras and we see them. I am excited to welcome Robert and Korsah onto the webinar today, and excited to hear what they have to tell us. Robert is the senior consultant at Datafields International, and Korsah is the managing partner of Korsell Corporate Consult Ltd. And I will fully introduce them a little bit later on, but thank you so much for coming, agreeing to participate and to share with us how we can rebrand ourselves during this post-COVID. So we're still waiting for our speakers to come in. And in the meantime, what I'll do is I will share the E4Impact vision for those who are joining us today for the first time. And for those who have joined us before, it's just to further emphasize the benefits of joining the E4Impact family. Exciting things have been happening. Right now, our team is at the Dubai Expo, sharing the vision and creating awareness around the programs. So we want to encourage those who are in Dubai possibly to go through to the Italian pavilion and see the E4Impact team, get to meet David and Fabio and the team that is there and understand and join the E4Impact Alliance. So I'll just share my screen and we are able to introduce E4Impact Foundation to those who are joining us today. Right, I hope that is very clear. So like I said, we do not teach entrepreneurship, we train impact entrepreneurs, and E4Impact Foundation was founded in 2010 by the Altis Graduate Business School from the Catholic University of Milan, and passionate corporates who are entrepreneurs themselves to train, coach a new generation of impact entrepreneurs. By impact, I am also passionate to emphasize that it is very important to build strong communities, and strong communities are built by people who are willing to solve problems, identify gaps, identify unutilized resources in their communities, come up with ideas, create a vehicle to carry their ideas, which in this turn we can call a for-profit organization or a non-profit organization, a business, to be able to solve that problem while creating income and while creating jobs. So at E4Impact, we're passionate about impact. We are not creating job seekers, we are creating job creators. So we work once again with a partnership in collaboration with institutions and organizations that are also passionate about creating positive change in their communities. And we partner with universities across Africa and in the countries that we are in. Currently, way over 17 countries that we are in, and we are working with universities to be a leading voice in impact entrepreneurship. We want to develop partnerships and relations and platforms to trade and market linkages in Africa and Italy and Asia to be able to create a global economy that is strong and also that benefits the countries, the economies of the countries that we work in. And you will find that in most countries, the larger part of their economies is sustained by SMEs, and we aim to strengthen the capacity, the productivity of these SMEs and create a new generation. The advantages of the E4Impact family are vast, and most importantly, it's to create, to reduce poverty as we respond to the SDGs of creating programs that promote quality education and impact communities by reducing poverty, by utilizing the environment in a sustainable manner, by building infrastructure in communities through our entrepreneurs that can benefit the people in the spaces that we work with. So we definitely know that funding and financing an entrepreneur, creating the right ecosystem for an entrepreneur where there are sustainable policies, sustainable funding platforms, and funding platforms that are patient money, that have patient approaches to work with the entrepreneur. So you'll find our programs are riddled with a lot of activities and tasks that are able to allow 31% of our alumni to access finance, that are able to allow alumni to start new businesses. We've had alumni that have started this program to be able to build a business from 5 employees to more than 50 employees. Those are the success stories that we share. We've run the Moratti Challenge every year, where we challenge our alumni to create innovative solutions for their businesses. And with COVID coming around, we've managed to see a lot of amazing innovations from our alumni. And this has increased their client base as well. Diversification in their offering in terms of products and services has allowed them to achieve 87% of increase in client base and increase their turnovers by 81%. So strategic partners is something that we're very passionate about. And in our programs where we have the MBA and we have the the certificate program, we are able to share tools and skills that allow us to be able to create entrepreneurs that can solve problems and build capacity and scale the growth of their organizations. So we have flexible schedules that enables an entrepreneur to come on board, learn, and create an immediate action plan to be able and to implement their goal. We also have actionable tools. It's a very practical approach where we have 4 boot camps. We have a business strategy model boot camp, go-to-market boot camp, finance boot camp, and an investors boot camp, where we are teaching actionable tools. We are creating platforms for knowledge transfer. We are bringing in experts and professionals from the industry, captains of industries in your different countries, international entrepreneurs, to actually talk to the students and do the training in other spaces. We are also bringing in these professionals, experts, and entrepreneurs to become coaches and mentors to the students. We are allowing linkages in local, regional, and international partnerships to happen, access to investment. We are allowing especially linkages with Italian businesses and allowing exchange of information, exchange of expertise to happen. And this can be through the B2B fairs that we hold. Currently, we've just had our entrepreneurs participate the fruit and veggie fair, which happened in Rimini in Italy. Currently, we are in the Dubai Expo, once again, creating platforms to expose our entrepreneurs to all possibilities. So our programs come with dual accreditation from the Catholic University of Milan and our local partner universities. You are also able to join our programs at the Catholic University of Milan. So we are in 17 African countries. We are passionate about gender inclusion. So we do make sure that we make an extra effort to make sure that our women, the females in our society also get a platform to carry out their vision and goals and create jobs. So over 2,000 entrepreneurs have been created, and we hope that we create jobs for the future. I'm very excited to share with you that definitely there are new programs coming up in the next few months and next year. And in Ethiopia, please contact Mikidela at the St. Mary's University, where an edition is starting in October 2021 already now. Please contact Jegetule in Kenya at Tangaza University College to start quickly joining the October 2021 edition. In Sudan, December 2021, Yusuf will welcome you at the University of Medical Science and Technology. In Ghana, we are at the University of Professional Studies, and Andrews is available to speak to you and on all your needs. In Zimbabwe, we have Dennis at the Catholic University of Zimbabwe, February 2022. And Mozambique, we have Ibe at the University of St. Thomas of Mozambique. So we encourage you to contact Tunisia Sheikha, who is at the Central University of Group of Tunis, and edition is starting in January 2022. February 2022 at SLD Education Innovation Hub, please contact Farida. And at the University of Makeni, contact Peter, where an edition is starting in 2021. So ladies and gentlemen, please do not lose an opportunity to build your vision. Please follow us on Facebook and on all social media platforms. We are on Twitter, we are on Instagram, and we are able to you find the contacts of the program leader or the business coach in your country. But as for now, you can actually go into the chat room and ask for that information, and it will be provided to you. And we're excited for you to join the journey. And we are sharing information about trade in our different countries and trade in Europe and creating linkages. So join in and be able to share. So I know that we already have been joined by one of our speakers, and let me come back and ask him to stop sharing and ask Korsah if he can switch on. Oh, there he is. Hello and welcome.
Yeah, hello. Am
I saying your name properly, please?
Yeah, that's it, Korsah. Yeah.
I've got it right. Great. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. It's good to have you.
Yeah.
So I had already introduced you, and I think I was introducing the E4Impact Foundation and our passion to understand how to carry on post-COVID. And for me, I've said post-COVID is us understanding that COVID is now part of the norm. It will come in its waves and give us breathing space to reconnect with our businesses, reconnect with our clientele. We've had the world come to a halt we never imagined would happen. We've had situation where we've been alienated from our clients, from our markets, from the people who make us tick as business owners and as entrepreneurs. Value systems have been changed, upheavals of lifestyle, availability of services and products have been changed, and convenience to access products and services has been changed, Korsah. So I'll let you introduce yourself briefly and tell us what we can do. Branding for me is bringing a product or a service to become an experience, to life, to create a connection with a market, to create, to fulfill promises of fulfilling a problem, solving a pain for a client. So I'm very excited to talk about branding because I also talk about branding every day in another life. So I'll hand over to you and tell us, how can we rebrand our organizations post-COVID? Thank you.
Bertha, thank you once again for this platform. You said I should introduce myself again, so I guess hello to everyone. My name is Korsah from Ghana, Accra, Ghana. That's the southern part of Ghana. I'm an alumnus of E4Impact. I think the second cohort of E4Impact in Ghana. And I went straight into starting my enterprises, I think few months after I completed my period with E4Impact. And I currently have two brands, of which I'll be talking about. That is the Korsell Corporate Consult, which is a consultancy firm. And then the farm estate, the Greenwood Farm Estate, which is an agribusiness firm. So I'm a thriving entrepreneur. So that's a little introduction to me.
That's great. So I'll stop you there for a few minutes, Korsah, and introduce Robert, our other speaker. Robert, if you could switch on your video, we see you briefly.
Yes, Robert is here.
Great, great. Thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Right. Thank you very much too for adding me to this program.
Great, great. Great. Maybe you can briefly introduce yourself. I've given a brief introduction, and then after that, I'll give 10 minutes to Korsah and 10 minutes to you to share your thoughts. And then we will leave 15 minutes at the end for question and answer sessions. So maybe just a brief introduction of who Robert is and where he is right now.
Great. My name is Robert Amponhah. I'm a consultant for International Business Group. I'm also a senior consultant for Datafields. My specialization has been in consumer insights and branding. I'm also a lecturer at the University of Professional Studies, and I've worked with over 45 brands. As you speak, from SMEs to multinational brands, and I still work on some other international brands as a consultant. So I think this will be all for now, whilst I give Mr. Korsah 10 minutes.
Great, thank you very much. So like I said, the damage of COVID-19 has caused companies to need to think about their positioning, to think about their distribution channels of their product, to think about their partnerships, to think about their cost structures and revenue and income streams. So, and how does branding or rebranding affect all that? So I'll hand over to you, Korsah.
Okay, Bertha, thank you very much. Okay, so branding and rebranding, to me, basically branding is to me is an inward expression of the solution an entrepreneur is bringing to the market. So if an entrepreneur is in a market, say a water producing market, the way the entrepreneur is going to solve the problem of providing water to his customers, the expression of that solution is how I understand brand to be. So if an entrepreneur gets to a point where he fully knows that this is how I solve my problems, this is how I would like to be seen as solving the problems in this particular market, then the entrepreneur is getting to a point of knowing which kind of brand that he or she or the enterprise generally is going to produce. The brand to me too is also the impression that the enterprise or the product, the service, the company as a whole, the impression that that company is having in its customers' mind. And it's very important how you position that. because that will determine the quality, the most likely also quantity, and then the type of clientele that you would have. So generally, I mean, to me, branding is very important to an entrepreneur and an enterprise as a whole. And in this COVID era, it's very critical to rebrand, especially a period, like you said, where you have lost touch with your either your clientele, or you've lost touch, or you've not been able to make sales for a long period of time. It was almost a 1-year period where things had really taken the nosedive. And let me share a little bit of my experience and with the branding of Korsell and then its groups. And then I think I will share something I call the 4 things that every person or every entrepreneur would have to master to be able to have a strong and a successful brand post-COVID. Now, Korsell, we started in 2015 or 2016. Like I said, few months after I left E4Impact. And our tagline was living your dream is possible. So we were in the market to help people achieve their dreams. And yeah, it was a beginning time in the beginning. 2 months after I left E4Impact, I started Korsell Corporate Consult on my dining table in my house. And it was interesting. Our first client was a neighbor who wanted to run a bakery, and that was her dream. And we had to shape the business up with everything so that the dream can be achieved. It was a very, very interesting time. I mean, we grew that brand, that tagline, helping people achieve their dreams till now. And we've been doing that. 2 years down the line, we entered into the agricultural space with a solution called the farm estate, where our tagline was to make profitable farming and sustainable feeding. So we wanted to be able to assist any person who came to the brand called the Greenwood Farm Estate to have a profitable farm, and then to also be able to help in the sustain the feeding of households. Now, we had good wins in 2017, in 2018, and in 2019. And we were still in our startup phase. And in 2020, we were about to consolidate all our gains and our wins and showcase it as, okay, this is how we are ready to approach the market. This is how we are ready to solve the problems, some of the problems in consultancy industry, some of the problems in the agribusiness industry, and then engage partners and all that in 2020. And that was when COVID hit. And it took a very big blow on us. Our clientele weren't coming in anymore. We couldn't showcase what we really wanted to showcase. We were just about moving from startup to scaling up, and then now COVID had hit. Now, it was an interesting period. I mean, as an entrepreneur, you get affected, your team gets demoralized, and all that happened during that period. It was a really interesting period. We had to move from working from an office to working remotely, and that actually affected productivity. I mean, in a very serious way. We had to lay off some staff who weren't conversant with working remotely, and we had to try and bring in a new system altogether. So that COVID period is a discussion in itself, but that gave me the opportunity to rethink things. So when COVID was actually going, that's the end of 2020 and beginning of a responsibility was on me, the leader and the founder of these brands, to communicate that we are still alive and we are still moving on. And I had to
Did you have to, as the leader, if I can come in there, Korsah, did you have to rethink the vision, mission, and values? I mean, did you have to get that far, or it was mainly how to reconnect with your clientele and be available to give them the service and product?
Well, I would say that naturally, in a startup phase, your vision and your agenda is still evolving. You wouldn't get it at a go in the beginning. Within a 1-year period, you would have to make how do you call it, mistakes. You would have some wins, you would have some losses, and then you would have to learn all that, and then that would create that period, or that would create a better understanding of it. And I would say that I didn't have to recreate so much of the vision itself, but I had to re-communicate or find a better way of communicating our relevance, our presence, our continuity in the space. And that I would be very emphatic as an entrepreneur and as a founder. The responsibility is on you. As an equity owner, the responsibility is on you. Your team is looking up to you to get that done. And the communication beyond even before it gets to your clientele, your team must feel that, okay, something is still moving on. And all that, like I said from the beginning, it's an inward expression of your solution. That is what will produce a brand for you, an inward expression of your solution to the problems that you are in. So all that come together. So that period actually gave me that opportunity the COVID period gave me an opportunity to rethink how to re-communicate our catchphrase. Our first, the consultancy catchphrase was changed to making local businesses global players. That gave our clientele another phase that when they come to us, they will be capable of participating in the global space, which is an issue in our side of the world, in Ghana, and most likely in other parts of Africa too, because they didn't have the right things or the packaging to package themselves right. And then the global language. In science, there is an international scientific language. There's an international business language as well. And if you can't speak that business language, you might not be able to participate on the global space. So we changed that tagline. And then we also we changed our brand in agribusiness, that profitable farming, sustainable feeding. And then to the team, I had to group the brands and then put the two in a group or call the KH group. And I tagged it as sustainable, life-sustaining projects. So under this group, we were producing projects that sustain lives, because after COVID, we realized that definitely their lives needs to be sustained. Every project that an enterprise needs to do should be able to be sustainable. Any person that joins any of our brands should have a sustainable engagement. So I communicated that to the team, and that's produced a new energy, a new ideas, a new excitement for the team. I wouldn't say that we have arrived. I mean, we are still in the process of getting good partners, viable partners to push the vision and to push the brand and to push all that. But we did not sink. That is the good part of it. And I think it is because of resilience and continuity. So I'll conclude this so that Richard can come in. There are 4 things over the period of time that I learned with respect to branding that every entrepreneur or enterprise should have. That the first 3 When you are able to master the first three, then you can do the fourth. The first is to master yourself, understand how you solve problems and how you go about things. The second is to master your business, how you, in addition with other people, work together to solve a problem. You need to master that. Not everybody must be on your team, because the way you will solve a problem will be different from the way another person will solve a problem. So you need to know the right kind of team you must put together and that can gel. So you need to master the team or master your business as well. The third thing you need to master is your market. If you're in the consulting market, if you are in the production market, you are in shoes, wherever you are in apparel, you are in whatever, you need to master the market, know what your clientele want, understand that. Now, when you're able to master all these three things, then you need to ask yourself one question. Knowing this, put it in one word or in one phrase or in one artistic piece. If you think about yourself, you think about your business, you think about your markets, how would you describe it in one word or in one phrase or in one artistic piece? When you're able to do that, then you're on your way to a strong brand.
Wow. Wow.
Thank you. I think that's how.
Thank you so much. I loved the helping people achieve their dreams. And you mentioned how you slightly tweaked it afterwards in response. Maybe you could repeat that for me. I want to catch that.
Making local businesses global players.
Global. Yes, making local businesses global. And truly we had to respond. The world immediately leapt on to the digital platforms that were available for visibility. And it would test your business model to say, do you have the capacity to function and operate at those levels? So I love that transition and also to continue helping to build dreams. Thank you so much for sharing those. And I loved those last four, master yourself, master your business and your team and how to solve problems, master your market, and describe yourself in one word. So what would you describe yourself in one word?
I think that was, I would describe myself in one phrase. Like to achieve life-sustaining projects. I like to put up life-sustaining projects. Every enterprise I put together should be should sustain some life somewhere, should help somebody somewhere. Yeah. So that's it about me, life-sustaining project.
Thank you. Right. Thank you so much, Korsah. I'll hand over to Robert to come in as a consultant. And we've heard how an entrepreneur has gone through this difficult phase and survive and remain relevant and remain competitive in their field. So Robert, maybe you can take us through some of the models, frameworks, skills, and tools that may be in branding that an entrepreneur maybe can build to remain relevant and competitive in their markets.
All right. Okay. So great. So I see COVID, bringing two major things. First of all, as entrepreneurs, COVID has come in to show how agile operations are. You know, it's brought all the loopholes in all the things that we do. That's one major thing that has happened. The second thing that I see COVID bringing is, you could see a strict change in attitude and behavior of your consumers. So these two major things. So as entrepreneurs, you need to master yourself to deal with these two major challenges so that you can stay relevant. So there is this quote by the CEO of Amazon, Jeff Bezos, right? He mentioned or he said that your brand is what other people say about you when you are not in the room. So wherever that you find yourself, or wherever that you may not find yourself, if you have your brand there, what people say, what people perceive about you, it's what he sees as branding. And I'm going to craft the model based on this particular quote from Jeff Bezos, right? So I could see that as entrepreneurs, before we'll be able to come up with these models in books or theories to really fight, first of all, we need to acknowledge the crisis. I mean, if you like it or not, because people felt that with this crisis, it was going to end within the shortest possible time, but it keeps, postponing, reoccurring, right? So first of all, as entrepreneurs, we need to acknowledge the crisis. I mean, that there is something that this has come to stay, is going to be part of us. So then how do we let people see us when we are not in the market, when we are not on the shelves, or where we don't find ourselves? So we first of all need to do that. Then the second thing is for us to respond immediately to these crises. How do we respond immediately to this crisis? All that we need to do is we look through our operations, our value chain as entrepreneurs, from production, marketing, customer service. We need to look through, bring everybody on board, and find out what unique things each unit will bring on board to tackle these crises. Once we're able to do that, then we need to move to the third one by listening and understanding that shift in behavior and attitude that has changed. I'm one person, and that's one thing I find out about a lot of African entrepreneurs. We don't spend time on insights. We use our mind to think for people. That is not right. We actually need to gather some data and really know how was our customer, or how was my customers buying, or how were they responding prior COVID time, and how are they responding now. So if you're able to know those shifts, then you'll be able to carve out those solutions. So those models, yes, you could see there are some academic models that are well developed. Maxwell ACA model, Young and Rubicon model, all in anticipation of building brand equity. But in all this, we need to pay attention to insight by understanding this shift in customer attitude and behavior. And then we'll be able to develop an identity which is customer focused to satisfy these shifts or to meet the needs of these new attitudes and behavior. And it's so clear that with this COVID, once you're able to do that, everybody is moving digital. I had a lot of clients whom we tried making sure that they build their e-commerce based on digital platforms. Yes. And they felt that that wasn't the time. But COVID is now forcing each and every organization to do that. So that is where the thinking then should be. So once you're able to
and
do
that means in some instances, if I may come in, that means building new skill into your employees or having to hire.
Fantastic. So building new attitude, new skill, what I call the AXE model. New attitude, new skill, and new knowledge.
New knowledge.
Yes, new knowledge, yes. And there's the digital platforms that keeps reoccurring. There was a paper I did write, it's not published yet. It's on commodious digital marketing platforms, the confusion of the present day entrepreneur. Because you might not know which one, yes. You might think that Facebook is the one that most people are using, or YouTube or whatever. But then it differs from location to location.
Mm.
It differs. The platform that people will use in a particular jurisdiction will be different from the. I mean, it depends on the popularity and all that. So we need then to activate your digital platforms. And if you're already using your digital platform, then you need to intensify and acquire new skills, new attitudes, new knowledge in that to face this crisis. So basically, I would say that you could go through these things, first of all, by acknowledging that there is crisis, by responding immediately to this crisis. I mean, putting up all your value chain, your people together to come up with innovative products or services to respond to this. You then need to listen and understand the shift in attitudes and behavior of your consumers. Then you come up with an identity. You see, branding is all based on an identity. How you want people to see you. You get that? How you want people to perceive you. Perception. How you want people to perceive you. Do you understand? So a lot of
and I guess you have to worry about the customer image as well. How are you connecting to the customer image?
Fantastic. And connecting and association. I mean, how you could also associate and network with other existing brands. These are the most important things. So I won't say there is a straitjacket model for you to use to respond to these COVID crises. But then you first of all need to acknowledge that COVID is going to stay with us. And we could even have other things coming that could be like COVID or more than that. So then how do we, respond to these crises when it comes? And the solution, like I said, is either we activate our digital platforms or intensify the platforms if they are already on using digital platforms. So I can pause if anybody has questions and we could look at that.
Great, thank you very much for that. So new skills, new attitude, and new knowledge. So now we're going to our question and answer session in the last 12 minutes of our 1 hour. And these questions apply to both you and Korsah. And our first question is, my first question, which I would want you to link to this question, which is from Lucine, if I'm pronouncing it properly. For a brand to be sustainable, does it have to be physical or emotional? And as you answer this question, I would like you actually to define, I think, Robert, you've used a statement that I use in all my lectures. I think that is the first statement that I always say from Jeff Bezos. It's what people think of you when you leave the room. What is a brand, gentlemen? What is a brand? And I often wonder if entrepreneurs at idea stage or startup stage actually have brand on their minds as they begin, or the brand just defines itself as the story unravels. So so for a brand to be sustainable, does it have to be physical or emotion from the time you define it and as you build it? So I'll put it like that and combine those two questions. I hope I'm understood.
Yes, I don't know if I'm on this comment first to this.
Go ahead and then I'll come next.
Okay, great. All right, so for brand to be sustainable, it has to have both the tangible and the intangible attributes. You can't work with one. You cannot work. So with the tangibles, packaging, the brand name, the quality, all those things have to come in. Then looking at the intangible aspects, the emotions, the functional ability of the brand, the association of the brand, So all those two things need to come in. You cannot just build a tangible or a physical brand by just looking at the attitude, labeling, packaging, the product content, the brand, and all that. But then the other intangible attributes also need to come in to make the brand complete so that it can stay. You get that? But in all that, I still maintain that in all that, if you are testing or coming up with those intangible features as well as the tangible features, you don't just assume. You need to test. You need to find out. You could do some little focus group discussions with your customers as entrepreneurs. One thing that I feel it's a major problem with African entrepreneurs, and I still insist and I'll say that, is our inability to invest in research. Customer insights, not that because I come from the customer insights line, that's my area mostly has been in. But then we need to pay little attention. It's not everything you have to pay money to external agencies to conduct simple tests for you or simple service for you. Those things could all be done internally, you understand, to really understand and know how your consumers feel, how they will perceive your brand, so that all these two things could come together. Because if consumers say, this is what I prefer or this is what I want, and you do what you think is right, there is going to be a mismatch, right? And your brand is not going to be sustainable. Yes, people might try it the very first time, but then it could get to a time it cannot work.
Yeah.
So that is how I see it. Because this is based on experience. Looking at, like I told you, I've worked on a lot of brands. Some were not able to succeed based based on full appreciation for consumer insights to get what our consumers actually want, so that we can position it. The whole idea about it is just to position in the minds of our consumers, for them to feel attached, have that emotional connection to the brand.
When I think of a drink, I think of Coca-Cola.
Fantastic. Yes. And because of the attachment. I mean, yes, so with that, right.
Yes, great. Korsah, thank you for that.
Yes. So a very interesting question. It's very good what he's asking, whether it should be emotional and physical. And I would agree with Robert. It has to be both. If I pick your product from the shelf, do I frown? Or do I smile? Or do I just laugh? You can meet a product and just at the sight of the product, you just start laughing and it relieves you. So that is your brand. That's your product.
Or actually, the packaging attracts you. You're minding your own business. You came to buy bread. The next minute, you're like, oh, what's that?
What's that? Yes, exactly. So it's an emotional response to the physical experience. You get it? So, or for instance, when they experience your service, whatever service you are having, and they are done, what kind of feedback do they do? For instance, in our agribusiness, anytime we are done with our service, we ask you, are you comfortable? Were you happy with our service so far? And then we are expecting to hear, yes, I was happy with your service, because the service you are wondering. So it's both. It's both the emotional and then the physical, and you need to plan it, like Richard was also saying. Use the data available, listen to your previous clientele, listen to what made them tick, what made them not purchase your service or your product, listen to what they like, and then design your brand moving forward from that perspective. Both an emotional experience to the physical thing that they would come and experience with you. You need to design that. And that, I want to answer the question you asked about whether the entrepreneur, the brand is something that comes up from the beginning or evolves. And for me, I say it evolves. It evolves. You would have an idea of what you you would like to be known in the market when you come at first. But like Jeff Bezos said, when you leave, what they would actually say might not be what you were expecting them to say. So it's important that over the period, you listen to what people are saying.
Yes.
Then you evolve your brand. So you would be making some few changes, tweaks here and there, so that it can fit to what the market actually wants. So
okay. We have one more question. So I'll give you two more questions. We have exactly 4 minutes to I'll give you 2 minutes to respond to this question. What must you do, or what extent can you go to rebrand if you got it wrong the first time? What extent, that's our next question from Doreen. What extent can you go to rebrand if you got it wrong the first time? And I think, let me come in there and also encourage you to highlight how important research of the market is, how important it is to understand the culture of your market. And I feel culture is a way of life. It's dynamic. It is defining ideas, principles, and values that bring harmony in a community. And how does your product or service translate into a brand that brings harmony and you know, in a society by aligning with the ideas, the principles, and the values of that society? So research, market research, and what extent can you go to rebrand?
Okay, let me take this first. It depends on how far you have been affected. It depends on how far you have been affected. If the product is being recalled, for instance, if your product or service is being recalled, if there has been a legal ban on your product, it doesn't mean that the need or that solution is not there. Somebody can replace you. It's because your brand did something wrong in the market space. So if you go to that extent, then you would have to change completely everything, from the name to the tagline to the team to everything. Then you would have to rebrand. But if your product or service is still in the market, but you haven't been recalled, or an injunction has not been put on your brand or whatever, then you have to be tweaking it there and there till you get to that catchphrase, that sentence, that word that everybody can remember you for. You just have to keep going at it, and then you just have to make little tweaks here and there. Yeah.
So final word, I'll let you both answer this question in maybe half a minute so that we end at 7. Branding entails a lot. That's our question from Eric. But at this moment, which is the best way to rebrand in this post-COVID? So maybe 2-3 main tips from both of you on how the best and easiest way for someone to rebrand post-COVID. So I'll start with Robert maybe, and then come back to you, Korsah. 3 best ways to rebrand.
Okay, so
which can be an action point for our entrepreneurs tomorrow.
All right, so 3 best ways for you to rebrand in this COVID era. You know, the branding process leads to coming up with an identity. And your identity being consistent, right? So you may come up with some features, some benefits of your product. So today shouldn't just be, it's good, the next day is not good, you are killing the brand. So being consistent to build a brand identity. So the very first way you need to do, like I said, is for you to, since consumers' attitude and behavior is shifting towards digital channels, and for that matter, social media. Because during the lockdown and all that, people were in their homes using their phones, chatting with their relatives, using social media a lot. So what we need to do is you first of all need to intensify your efforts on social media, right? To get your brand available, visible, and aware for your consumers to see. So looking at that. The second thing you could also look at is looking at the e-commerce space. Over the past 1 year, a lot of things have happened in the e-commerce space, right? Which you may not necessarily need to develop an e-commerce site to sell your product. There could be some, as entrepreneurs, there are some sites that are already developed. Shopify, some of them Wix, some of them those that are developed already. So you can leverage on those ones or leverage on already existing e-commerce space. If you look at Africa, Jumia is trying very hard. So if you are not there, you need to find a way. Like I said, almost all my clients are moving into Jumia. The moment this thing came in, they were not buying the idea. So they are trying to create presence in e-commerce space. And finally, the last thing that I think you need to do is you need to consistently do. What's the traditional things that you do? You need to consistently do that so that it can complement the new the new area that you are picking up. So first of all, you leverage on your digital platform with more emphasis on social media. Second one, make sure you have presence in e-commerce. And the third one, you keep doing what you were doing previously, but you do it right and consistently. I see, when people talk about
I'll have to stop you, Robert, for our time. Thank you so much. I love those 3 points. They came out very well. I'll allow Korsah just to give us his 2-3 points in 1 minute so that we end at 7:05.
Okay, I think Robert has said the most salient ones. But I would say, for what I said, number 1 point is to put your mastering of yourself, your business, and your market in one word. That is your brand.
That is your brand. And E4Impact, I would say impact. Impact. So thank you very much for that. We've defined branding, intangible and tangible. Robert has said you are building an identity. How do you present this identity? Through your logos, through your symbols, through your colors, through your taglines, through your packaging. So these are the symbols, the physical symbols that we see your branding. We've also talked about the emotional. How do you translate? What do these physical symbols translate to build an experience for your an amazing experience, or to fulfill a promise, or to respond to a problem and solve it for your market. So we've talked about market research. We've talked about being competitive. I think our speakers have also highlighted how you need to go back to your team and understand, as Robert says, the new skills that you need to build, the new attitude as a leader. I think also, Korsah, you talked a lot about leadership, how you had to review your leadership style and be there for your team and reinforce your team and during the COVID period, make your team understand how the organization can carry on. So new attitudes, new knowledge. So new knowledge platforms that have to be created, how you're going to reconnect with your market, reconnect with your clientele, and make the brand an amazing experience. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for joining us this evening. I want to thank our speakers. Thank you, Robert and Korsah. That was very insightful. Our speakers are available for more questions. Please respond to the emails. Please go to our website, Facebook, and our social media platforms, and you are able to see more information about where to get access to our services and products. And I wish you all a very good evening, and may we continue to build our dreams and scale them to a global level.